I recently did a live stream on 7 things a man will say if he's using you. And after seeing some of the comments and questions that were posted under that video, I decided to do a whole nother episode on this topic because I've really found that you often have all the answers inside of you in terms of your intuition and some of these things that you're saying to yourself or others. But it can be easy to miss some of those signs if you don't have this awareness, especially when you have strong feelings for a man and you're really hoping that everything's going to work out. So if you're new to my channel, don't forget to like the video and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos on how to have the relationship you've always wanted. The first thing that you might be saying to yourself or anyone else if a man is using you is, I've been talking to this guy for X amount of months or years. I can't tell you how many women I hear from who say, I've been talking to this guy for 6 months, or I've been talking to this guy for 2.5 years. And I really don't want you talking to a guy for months and months and months, and of course, several years and beyond, because the guy who is going to want to move things forward and pursue you for a committed relationship is not the guy who just shows up on your phone a couple times a month or just texts you endlessly. I know as women, we can get really emotionally invested or attached to a man when he's calling us every day and we're talking to him and we're kind of holding out hope that one day he'll ask us out and move things forward. But it's a completely different experience with a man who's truly interested and available for the kind of relationship you want. He's going to not want to be texting you endlessly or talking to you endlessly. Let me know if you've ever had that experience in the comment section or the live chat. If you're listening live, I'd love to hear from everyone. But I see this all the time in the comment sections of some of my videos. People say, I've been talking to this guy for several months or years. And especially if a guy knows that you'd be interested in actually meeting up in person and having a regular dating relationship, if you say something like, it's been great getting to know you, this has been so much fun, communicating or talking, and it would feel great to meet up in person sometime. Or what I'm really looking for is a regular dating relationship where we can meet in person. If he knows that and he just continues to text you or call you and he doesn't make plans to see you and move things forward continuously, it's a sign that he's just using you. And one question I get all the time is, well, if we're not sleeping together or if we're not intimate or even physically seeing each other at all, how can he be using me? But the truth is he's getting something out of it. It could be an ego boost. It could be just helping his confidence while he goes out and pursues other women he's actually really interested in. It could be all kinds of things. So if you're getting something out of it too, if you're happy to just respond to a guy and have this kind of pen pal text buddy relationship, that's fine. But most women in this situation, they're not at that place. They're actually hoping for more. And so they're kind of hoping that if they're just really cool and funny and they show this guy every single thing they have to offer, eventually he'll see them as relationship material and actually move this forward in real life. But it just doesn't happen. So you want to catch that right away. If you're saying anything that sounds like, I've been talking to this guy for several months or years and he's not moving things forward. So the second thing that you might be saying if a guy is using you is anything that sounds like, I'm so confused or I'm so exhausted or anything like that. When a man is truly for you and he's really interested in pursuing you for something serious, you're not going to be confused. I always say what's truly for you will bring you clarity, not confusion. It'll just be so clear because he'll make it obvious with his actions that he wants you in his life and he wants to move things forward and pursue you for a serious relationship. So if you're feeling confused, it's always a red flag. Like I mentioned in the first one, you can always ask for clarity. You can always say, hey, I've been feeling a little bit confused. Is there something I should know? And see what he says. But if anything sounds like an excuse coming out of his mouth after that, like, well, I've just been so busy, or I love you, but we're just friends, I'm not really available for something serious, it's a clue that he's just not going to be in it for the long haul. And that's what you want, right? And this one might not be an indication that he's using you, but if he's continuing to keep you around, if he knows that you would commit to him in a heartbeat if he were ready, something about that doesn't sit right with me. He's like taking all the benefits he can of being around you and having that companionship. Again, this doesn't necessarily mean anything physical. He could just like being around your feminine energy or presence. And if he knows that you want more and that's not what he wants, you just don't want to keep men around in your sphere like that. So let me know if you've ever felt confused with a man. I've certainly been in that situation before. I think we can all relate to that. The third thing that you might be saying if a man is using you is anything that sounds like repeating his excuses to other people or to yourself, or rationalizing why he's not prioritizing you or committing to the kind of relationship you want. So your friends might ask something like, when was the last time you saw him? Or when's your next date? What's the plan? When are you going to see him again? If you find yourself spouting out all the excuses he's been giving you lately, like, well, he's just so busy right now. He has his family staying with him this week, and then he has a work project next week, and it just isn't a great time. He's going through something. And it's almost like you're his secretary, repeating all the excuses that he's given you over the last few weeks or months or even years. It's a clue that, again, he wants you in his life. He doesn't want to let you go, but he really is not at a place where he's going to commit to the kind of relationship you want. And he most likely never will be. Men like this who have all these excuses and they're just so busy, when they meet a woman who really does it for them, they're really feeling it for her, they become ready really quickly. So I don't want you hanging around a guy like this for months or years or even decades. And then he meets another woman who is really right for him in his mind, and he just commits to her immediately, marries her a year later. I hear from women all the time in that situation. It's just heartbreaking for them. So I don't want you getting in a situation like that. And by the way, make sure to stay to the end of this video, because number 7 is the most important sign. It's a surefire sign a man is using you if you're saying this or some version of it. So you don't want to miss that one. Number 4 is anything that sounds like, why must we play all these games? Or I'm so sick of dating these childish men, or men need to grow up and stop acting like little boys. Anything that sounds like that, that one just kind of makes me laugh. But it's a big clue that you're stuck on the wrong kind of man. You just won't be saying those things with the right guy, because again, he'll make it obvious and clear with his actions that he's serious about you and ready to move things forward. So yes, this one particular man you might be stuck on right now might need to grow up, and you might be sick of dealing with him. But if you're keeping him around and not letting him go, you're sort of sending this signal out, not just to him that you're okay with his crumbs, but kind of to the whole universe, that I'm okay not being a top priority in a man's life. I'm okay being second best. And this is what I'm available for. So if a woman is engaging with a man on that lower level, she often doesn't attract men on these higher levels where they're available for the kind of intimate, close, committed relationship she wants. You have to move through the wrong men first and let them go in order to kind of move up to the next tier and start attracting more high quality available men. I did a whole video on that on my YouTube channel called Avoid This Hidden Trap at All Costs. If you don't want to get your heart broken, it's a short video. I highly recommend checking that one out. I can include a link to that in the description of this video after the replay posts if you find yourself saying some of those things, because it's really, really important. So number 5 is anything that sounds like, how do I get him to get over his ex, or forget about this other woman, or choose me over her, or anything like that. I talked about this in my last live stream on 7 things a man will say if he's using you. If there's another woman in the picture, I would certainly drop that guy and move on. Now, if he has children with his ex or something like that, obviously she's going to be a part of his life. But I'm saying if his romantic energy is going out towards another woman or other women, and it's been months and he knows that you would commit to him in a heartbeat, he's just keeping you around because he's using you. So if you find yourself wondering what you could do to get him to choose you over someone else, or get over his ex, or forget about this other woman that he's also talking to, I would just drop that guy and move on. And again, he could just be using you for an ego boost. He could be really interested in this other woman, and you're kind of helping his confidence by having another woman that he's texting. It's a narcissistic behavior. Not that any guy that does that is a narcissist, but you know, a lot of narcissists have this kind of like harem of women around, and they'll keep them on ice. They'll sort of put them on the back burner, and the one person that he's getting that main supply from, he's getting the lion's share of his attention. But once he gets bored with her, he puts her on ice or on the back burner and goes and pursues someone else. You just don't want to be in a situation where a man has his romantic energy going out towards other women. At least I wouldn't. That would never feel good to me. I would never in a million years put myself in a situation like that. I don't want you to either. It's just a total recipe for heartbreak. So number 6 is something like we've been on and off for 8 months or 4 years or 10 years or 15 years. I hear from women who have been on and off with a man for years or even decades. So to me, that's always a red flag. It's a sign that this is okay for him right now. He's happy to take what you have to offer right now. But if you've been on and off several times, or he's broken up with you several times before, and he's just going back and forth all on his own, and you're there and you've been available and shown interest in him, it's a clue that he just doesn't have any intention of marrying you or committing to a real relationship with you. So on and off is always a red flag. If you've broke up once before and then maybe you come to learn about this work and you've realized you've been pushing him away, and then you shift on the inside and things come back together, that's one thing. But I always say if things haven't worked out in the past before, it's usually a red flag. But if you've been on and off over and over and over again, and that's your pattern, he's getting something from you without having to fully commit to the kind of relationship you want. If what you want is more, right? And men in this situation often know that you want more. It's obvious to him, it's obvious to everybody. So you don't want to be just holding out hope that this guy is going to somehow magically transform and say, oh, you know what, I've been breadcrumbing you for the last 6 months. I'm really sorry about that. I'm going to really put both feet in now. It just doesn't happen when you're hanging on to him in that way. So the seventh, and I believe most important thing that you might be saying if a man is using you is anything that sounds like he won't commit, but he won't let me go. Or he loves me, but he says we're just friends. He loves me, but he can't be in a relationship right now because of this reason. But I can't tell you how many times I hear women say, he won't commit, but he won't let me go. And they often ask, why won't he let me go? Why does he still keep me around? And the answer to me is obvious, because this is a great deal for him. It's a terrible deal for you, by the way, but it's a great deal for him. He gets to get all the benefits of being around you. Maybe you're sleeping together. He gets to hang out with you or even take you on dates, because just because a man isn't ready for a real relationship, or just because he doesn't see that with you, doesn't mean that he doesn't still crave the company of a woman or the ego boost or whatever comes along with that for him. If a guy isn't committing, you don't need to wait for his permission to move on or date other men. If he's not committing and that's what you want, it's time for you to take a stand for what you truly want and deserve and move through the men who aren't in alignment with that in order to move on to the next better match for you. So those are the 7 things I wanted to share with you today. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to go over to my Master Your Magnetism podcast. That's on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere else where you can listen to podcasts. That's where I'm spending most of my time these days. So if you're not following me over there on Apple or Spotify or anywhere where you like to listen to podcasts, you're missing all of my new content, in my opinion, my best, most in-depth material. So definitely go follow me over there. I can include links to that in the description of this video as soon as the replay posts. Also, you can follow me on Instagram now, Helena Hart Coaching. There are still fake accounts out there using my name and photos to scam people out of money. So make sure you're following this one right here. If you're watching on YouTube, it shows on the screen, Helena Hart Coaching. You can also go to Instagram.com/Helena Hart Coaching. If you want to actually type in the link, that is the last link in the description or episode details. And click the first link in the description to get my free gift. That's my 3 keys to attract the man you want. It's a PDF report and audio training, totally free. That will help you whether you're single and looking to start off on the right foot and attract the right partner, or if you have a man in your life already and you want to bring him closer than ever. So I love you all. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a great rest of the weekend, and I will see you next time.